Well guys, it's been a long time since I've had this piece of gear on my channel. In fact, I've had it for a while, but I had it out on loan for over a year now, and I just got it back the other day, and I'm just going to plug into it for the first time in over a year and just dial in all 4 modes on it and just see what I think of it. I mean, like I said, it's been over a year, so why not refamiliarize myself with this thing on camera and give you my thoughts about it. Let's get started. Alright, so those of you who followed my channel for a while know that I had the BluGuitar AMP1 Iridium on my channel. Gosh, it's been over a year now, and I liked it. I thought it was a pretty cool piece of gear, but you know, a lot of time's passed since I've played this, and I've gotten a lot of different amps since then, and I just want to see if I still like it and give you my thoughts on it after it's been a while. And I've also had a lot of experience with other different amplifiers on the show, and I just want to see if my tastes have changed, and if so, I want to see if I still like the BluGuitar AMP1 Iridium. Now I'm going to play all 4 modes or channels or whatever you want to call them on this unit right now, starting with the clean channel, and then I'm going to go to, what is it, vintage, classic, and then modern. And we'll play the vintage, classic, and modern with and without the overdrive pedal and just see what it sounds like. I'll dial in each channel to my taste, and once I achieve, you know, the best sound out of each channel, I'll move on to the next channel. So let's start with the clean channel now without any effects, and then once I get it dialed up, we'll dress it up a little bit with some chorus and delay and see how it sounds after that. Well, actually, that sounds really good. I didn't really have to do much to the clean channel to get it to sound good. It's warm and chimey, and it's got just enough brightness and mids in it. I mean, it just sounds really good. So let's go ahead and turn on the Julia chorus pedal and my flashback delay and see how it sounds. Well, it sounds great. I mean, the Julia chorus is a great chorus pedal, and with a little bit of delay from the flashback, I mean, it just sounds really good. So, very good clean channel. So let's move on to the vintage channel now, and I'm going to start with the overdrive pedal off. When you see the overdrive pedal appear on the screen, that means it's on. So let's go ahead and dial in the vintage channel now. Alright, so we're off to a pretty good start for a vintage sound. I mean, that does sound pretty good. So this has a built-in boost, so let's go ahead and engage that and see how it sounds with that, and then I'll engage my mud killer after that and just see how those compare. Not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, that sounds really good with the boost. So now let's go ahead and disengage the internal boost of the AMP1 and turn on the mud killer and see how that sounds. All right, not bad. Not a ton of gain and aggression, but it actually is a great vintage tone. So I know I'm going to do something a little unconventional here. So let's go ahead and engage the internal boost while the mud killer's on and just see what we get out of that. Well, that's pretty good. So what I've learned about the internal boost on the AMP1 is that it's not really like a overdrive. It just is, in my opinion, it's another gain stage. It just adds a little more aggression to the amp, and I don't really think it acts like an overdrive. At least that's my experience with it, in my opinion anyways. So whatever Thomas did to dial that in, I think he did a really good job with it. So you can still keep your own external boost pedal engaged, in my opinion, and just fine-tune the internal boost on this and get a really nice saturated tone that's a little more aggressive. So yeah, I mean, I think either way, depending on your taste, would work with you. So that channel is actually pretty cool. So let's go ahead and switch to the classic channel and see what that sounds like. And I'll start with the overdrive pedal off and the internal boost off and just see what it sounds like. Here we go. So right away I'm noticing a little more fullness with this channel. So let's go ahead and dial it in further, and I'll start with engaging the internal boost and see what that sounds like, and I'll switch that off and try the mud killer, and then we'll stack them and see what that sounds like. Yeah, pretty fat channel actually. So I'm going to switch from the internal boost to the mud killer now and see what that sounds like. And I'll actually switch to them while I'm playing so you can hear the difference. So here we go. freaking cool. So now let's stack them and see what that sounds like. So I'm going to leave the mud killer on, then I'm going to engage the internal boost now. Yeah, that got a lot beefier and a little meaner, so I actually like how that feels. It got way more responsive, but you know how when you stack boosts sometimes it just gets really choked sounding and it cuts out way too much low end? That doesn't seem to be the case here. I mean, again, now don't quote me on this, but I feel like the internal boost on this is more like another gain stage than it is an overdrive. Now, I could be wrong, or maybe that's what the intention was it, you know, to be an overdrive pedal, but I'm feeling like it's another gain stage, because typically when I stack boost pedals, I mean, I get way too much craziness and it cuts out way too much low end and it gets real raspy, but that's not the case with the AMP1 Iridium. I mean, you could easily stack an external boost on top of the internal boost and get away with it. It still sounds and feels amazing without getting really thin and raspy. So let's play a few more riffs in the classic setting on this with the stacked boost pedals, and we'll move on to the modern after that. Man, that's a great sounding rhythm channel. Let me just do a couple lead riffs on this and just see what that sounds like. I haven't done any leads on this yet, so let's try that. All right, so remember, we're still on the classic channel right now, and yeah, it sounds really good. The effects loop isn't really liking my pedals too much. I'm getting a lot of that kind of surge, that low-end kind of surge underneath them. When I had this here last time, I was playing it through my HELIX, and I didn't have any of those issues. So maybe this works better with the more modern platforms, like digital platforms for effects units, than it does with a pedal platform. So maybe either that, or maybe I got my settings screwed up here, but all I'm saying is that these same pedals that work well with all my other amplifiers sound good through this, but I'm still getting a little bit of that. You probably heard it in the mix, right? That little bit of low-end kind of surge underneath everything when I have the effects loop engaged. So let's go ahead and see what the modern channel sounds like. I'm going to turn both the internal and external boost pedals off now and switch to the modern channel and see what that's like. All right, well, immediately I'm noticing a lot more aggression, especially on the top end, so that's pretty cool. Let's mess around with it some more and see what we got. Yeah, it's pretty tight and aggressive, and there's no boost pedals, internal or external, engaged right now. And it does sound pretty freaking good. So let's start with engaging the internal boost and see what that does to the channel. Wow, interesting. Pretty aggressive, and it still remained really full and fat. So yeah, I'm kind of digging this. So now let's stack the mud killer on top of the internal boost and see what that sounds like. You know, the thing is you're probably thinking on the other end of the camera here, like, what are you doing, man? It sounds freaking great. I don't think you need to engage another pedal. Well, again, I really think that even on the modern channel, I didn't feel the amp get more responsive. I just felt like it had a little more gain when I engaged the internal boost. It just felt like another gain stage to me. It didn't tighten up and get super like responsive. Maybe a little bit more responsive, but not like an overdrive pedal usually does. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a lot more responsiveness, and I think when I engage the mud killer while having the internal boost on, that's going to really make the amp more full. It's going to have a fuller sound, and it's going to be a lot more responsive. But I could be wrong, so let's find out. wow, there's so many ways you can go with that. So I found if you're going to stack, you know, like the mud killer on top of the internal boost, you want to back the gain down a little bit and find like this happy medium there. You could go either way, you know, but I think that I just prefer my mud killer over the internal boost on the amplifier. And you know what? It's not surprising because I always prefer my mud killer or whatever other pedal I'm using to put in front of the amp than what's in the amplifier regarding boost pedals. Like a built-in boost just never for some reason works for me. You know, it's just the way it is. Everybody's different, but that's probably why amp builders don't usually put boost pedals inside their amps, because for some reason most people just don't like how they sound or feel, or both. You know, same thing with the Invective. I can't stand the boost pedal that's built into that amplifier. It just doesn't work for me. But as soon as I slam it with an external overdrive, it sounds great. So same kind of thing here, but I'm not saying I can't stand the boost that's in here. It just doesn't exactly do it for me. So usually that's why I'm finding that I'm going to stack something on top of it or use an external pedal and bypass it altogether. But so far, this is pretty freaking cool. Let's dial in this channel a little bit more. I'm going to leave the mud killer on and turn off the internal boost and just fiddle with the knobs a little bit, and then we'll be done. Wow, that is super sculpted, you know, very, very sculpted. So I have the fat skinny knob in the middle on the mud killer. Let me turn that down a little bit and see if I can get it a little less sculpted sounding, and I want it just to be a little more juicy, you know, if that makes sense. So let me do that and see what we got. Wow, not bad. For my, reintroduction to this thing, not freaking bad at all. There's a lot of potential with this. It's pretty sculpted on the modern setting, but there's things I like about that. I mean, it's really aggressive, and I think it would be great in a recording, especially if you double track or even quad track it. It's so aggressive, and there's so much texture on the top end that it would sit really good in a mix. And I think it would stack up really nice on top of itself in multi-track recording. So pretty cool. I mean, it's not as full as some of my other the big boys here, but it's got enough low end and fullness to actually be a good unit. You can't really expect it to be as full as like the Splun Nitro or the Diesel Herbert or whatever. I mean, come on, they're just lots of iron and way more tubes and stuff like that in them, but it definitely has a good standing, I would think, with those. It definitely has a good sound. The feel is great, and like I said, if you want a little more out of it, just use an external overdrive pedal and dial it in, accordingly, and stack it on top of the boost that's built in here. And you can even adjust the boost that's built in here too. And I think if you fine tune all that stuff, you can really get something good out of this. And the fine tuning knobs are over here. I didn't really feel like dealing with that for this video, but I think with some fine tuning, I could really make stacking boost pedals, again, external on top of the built-in one here, work really well. So anyways, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was nice to reacquaint myself with the AMP1 Iridium. I mean, it's actually a pretty damn good product. It really is. I haven't played this thing in over a year, and it sounds really good. So, well, and I know that Thomas is releasing the AMP-X, hopefully in 2023. I finally got a chance to meet Thomas at NAMM, and really nice guy, great player. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that sounds like. And I look forward to shooting it out with this one and just see how they compare. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me all this time. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I come out with a new episode. Well, I got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys. I'll see you on the next one.